about the culture of the city of Colossae at the time that Paul wrote to the Colossian church. And the reason we're doing that is so we can examine the scripture in the context of the time that it was written. Paul wrote to the Colossian church when in 60s AD when he was imprisoned, and he would have actually never met them face to face, but he did know what heresies were being accepted at the time due to his association with Epaphras, who was imprisoned and had served in the churches of Colossae, Laodicea, and Hierapolis. These three cities were about 2 or 3 hours walk away from each other, and they are stationed approximately 120 miles east of Ephesus in Phrygia. Unfortunately, Colossae, the city of Colossae, has never been excavated. The city became Hellenized and was taken over by the Romans in 129 BC. We also know Mount Cadmus surrounds them, making the city a god-designed fortress, which the Hittites who founded it really valued. Colossae is also covered in parks, olives, vines, timber, and fruit trees, and not only known for its beauty and nature, but it is also known, or was known at that time, for having many Roman elites. They had a theater, baths, athletic games, gladiator spectacles, prosperous agricultural sector, and provincial presence. Other than this, we don't know a lot about Colossae's position, size, or importance in the Roman Empire. There are few Roman records relating to the city, and Colossae is the seismic epicenter of Asia Minor, which is where the African, Arabian, and Eurasian plates meet. Not only did nature provide the city's primary economic export, which is cloth and woven fabric, but also had to do with their religious beliefs about the gods that they worshipped, and much of those had to do with nature. They were a culture that worshipped the creation rather than the creator. And they also had many gods and legacies of great men and women to which monuments were made. And these included some mysterious religions and heroes who had supposedly died and rose again from the dead. And these same beliefs held to practices in which one must eat a meal to participate in eat a meal to participate and be initiated into the sacred and mystic religions of these great heroes. So these legacies and gods were seen by some as what they would call divine eons. Eons were conceived as rising tier above tier toward God, and by communing with one after another, somebody might, through reflection, asceticism, and self discipline, rise from material things into full fellowship with the divine. And this would mean that Jesus may have been the greatest eon of them all, but he was still one of many. And that was one of the heresies going on in that church. This staircase to God would have been climbed by physical actions such as seclusion, observing set days, fasts, and more. It's easy to see how many in the Church of Colossae would simply rectify this new faith with their old faith. Jesus taught his disciples to fast and pray. Paul talked about going from glory to glory. Jesus teaches denying the flesh and principles that crucify the sinful parts of man that are promoted in Christianity. These were a few of the similarities I found that you could easily kind of mesh these two ideas together. The origin of Colossae's heresy. Many modern commentators believe that the heresies in the Church of Colossae were of Jewish origin. One of the reasons is it had to do with participating in the Sabbath and new moons. Jewish law also has a lot to do with physical cleanness and uncleanness, and this heresy claimed that Christians must not touch, eat, drink, or taste certain things. They were also being instructed to worship angels, and many Jews in that time also believed that all physical objects held angels in them, and this may be what Paul addresses when he talks about the elements of the world. Out of this issue, the Church of Colossae reared the problem of those within it believing they were higher or lower on the spiritual staircase than another. This is likely one reason that Paul wrote of the preeminence of Christ in several verses in Colossians 1:15 through 20. Paul also wrote this polemic that there is no spiritual staircase to be climbed. The gospel is proclaimed to all creation, and there are no secrets that some are to withhold from others. He rules over all their eons, over everything that is created, and those in false religions that glorify self imposed devotion, self humiliation, self mortification are only catering to the flesh they seem to deny. My conclusion and what we can learn from the culture of Colossae is that no Christian can submit to anything but Christ. If somebody believes there's a way to the Father through fasting or asceticism or self effort, they have denied that Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. In John 14:6. And no one can be saved or move closer to God in their own efforts, but it's all because of Christ. Paul says it best himself, not only that the Colossians should not be taken captive by philosophy and empty deceit, but they should not accept anything that is not according to Christ.